So hi everyone, you hear me? Okay. So I am the hardware to close the journey after the amazing presentation of Professor Leong Chang. So the goal of my presentation is to present you how Imaging4All can be very helpful to connect with different network, and how I want to build. I try to building network in Francophone Africa. So I will start. So Precious asked me to show you the way I did to start building an imaging network in Francophone Africa. So I am Samira Benadda. So I am research engineer in the Institute of Biology of École Normale Supérieure. So I am manage the core facility. And also I am a co-leader of the division African France in France Bioimaging. So how my journey starts. So I start to work as engineer in a core facility since years ago, as you can see. And after I restart my graduation and I got a PhD. So after that, I got the opportunity to go to as visiting scientist in the Cambridge at the Barrow Institute to set up live brain slice with multiphoton to study the steady state and the movement of the microglia in brain slices. And when I came back, I be part of the steering committee of the National Network of Microscopy. So I am in charge of the budget, and so we organize a lot of things on microscopy for the French community. And I am also part of the working group two working groups, one of the organization of management core facility and working group of expansion microscopy. So we organize a national formation training for French people. So I have in 2024 I start my function as head of imaging facility at the Institute of Biology in France, and now I am part of the France Bioimaging because this is one of the nodes of France Bioimaging, and also I be part of the Africa Bioimaging Consortium. So how it starts. So my initial goal, because I was born in France and raised and grew up in France, but I am original from Algeria. So and I always want to do establish connection of imaging core facility in Algeria, but I saw that there is a lot of problem and with administration it was very difficult because I am not living in Algeria. And also there is a few connection, there is no facility. I start that, I think it was in 2016. So I sent a lot of email without no answer, so it's okay. So after I met the Professor Adiko during my PhD because we were in the same line in 2016, and we start the collaboration. So my journey in Africa starts with the Professor Adiko from Abidjan. Because of we, as you said yesterday, we have a lot of waste of microscopes. They are not used because considered as old. So sometimes it's not the case because it's sufficient for some research. So I sent a video microscope Leica in the center of Professor Adiko. I visit him and I train him and in France, and he trained his team in Abidjan. But the problem is after 2 years there is no maintenance and they don't know how to do. So the microscope was off. So because of the limited access to imaging in Africa, we research, we're looking after something more sustainable to do imaging. So the first things we applied to an access call for the France Bioimaging. It was not a lot, it was 5,000 euros, but it was sufficient to start. So it came 15 days in my lab in January. the last January, and his student German Bedi stayed 1 month. So we trained on culture cells, on microscopy cells, on also open source management, everything. So for them, it was also for German. It was the first time for her discover a lab and the co-imaging facility, and we start to characterize the phenotype of the NK cells in patients with hepatitis B from Ivorian patients. So after that, my journey, so this is a networking. So during my holidays, I was so lucky. My family not, because I'm always trying to do connection during my holidays. So we visit the AMI Center, and I met John Woodlong and Caron. I visit the AMI Center, and for me it was a revelation because I saw that it's possible to do networking in Africa, so I'm not alone. And also, I had the opportunity to attend, so I became a member of African Bioimaging Consortium and involved in the working group. And in October, the last October, I had the chance to attend Okazaki, the EEA Okazaki, and I discovered the call Imaging for All. So for me, the call Imaging for All, it was something to do with my different colleague. So, sorry, I forgot one, sorry. So I return now in Algeria because I am a bit frustrated. So I start to do some connection by different way. So I discovered the association of, it was Aloise, an association of women scientists, and it was amazing because through this association I connected with one researcher of the Center Research of Biotechnology in Constantine. And also I attend a microscope research and technique. It was a webinar by Ali Rizwan and Dr. Boujelai from the Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. And I just sent an email to Dr. Boujelai, and I told him my life. I want to do connection in Algeria. So now he connect me with the director of the Center Research Biotechnology and Constantine, and I visit them in the last December, and it was the first step of our collaboration and building imaging capacity. And now the Imaging4All application was born. So imaging, so it was the first call. So I proposed to the professor Adiko to do the proposal of an access track because he wants to, it is to pursue, to follow the first result because it came just 15 days, was months, and it was not sufficient. So we applied, but we didn't get the funding. But I proposed to WM also because we have the right to host several people, but it was for a broad track because in the Centre National Research of Biotechnology in Constantine, they want to set up a core facility. She did on the morning, and we got the funding. So now. Will come the next week, at the end of the next week, for 2 months in our lab. So we will do different orientation, course about the facility management and also introduction about what is imaging facility, also for open source to access management and for booking, like OpenRIS, that it could be sometimes there is some booking that they are free. Also, she wants also to do some imaging super resolution. So we will train in the NSPARC. This is a commercial microscope. So maybe in the Nikon NSPARC, it's the confocal high resolution. And also we will receive spinning disk super resolution, the SORA. And after we also do training, we are going to do training on imaging preparation because she wants to learn about expansion microscopy and also in organ with light sheet. And also because my colleague, she set up all the management, all the quality control protocol with all the metrology. So she will learn. You have a lot of things to, a lot of job. And also, sorry, I forgot. Okay, and after all the collaboration, because there is, we are with the Collège de France and Institut Curie, so I think she is going to do some networking with this core facility. Okay. So so now I'm going to, because before, at the beginning, I was alone, and but after I realized that I can't do it alone. So I contact Jean Salamero from France Bioimaging because in 2023, France Bioimaging reached to a call with AMI. It was an African France Joint Initiative for Biologic Imaging, and they select 11 projects from Stellenbosch, Senegal, Togo, Nigeria, Morocco, and Uganda. So I proposed him to create a division for in France Bioimaging because there is not there is not a division just for that. So it was okay. So we created a division African France in France Bioimaging that I co-lead with Jean-Luc Verdeil. He's a researcher from Montpellier in the CIRAD. He is always is doing some collaboration with always with Africa. So in this different call, for example, we asked Kadi Diouf from the Senegal to study the shape of the otolith because we have access call. And also now this year, we trained the 2 technicians of the UCAD for the peer program. So they visit us, one in Montpellier and one in Grenoble. And because if you remember the train for the peer program, so they granted a microscope Zeiss, and so there was training in the 2 facilities in Montpellier and Grenoble to know how they can use this microscope. So no, I'm not alone now. I am part of France Africa. So now we are applying Imaging4All with Africa. So the last years I met also Brice Tonfac in the annual meeting in Abidjan. So the networking is very important. You have to come. And he got the funding of Imaging4All for the first call. And in August, he visited Jean-Luc Verdeil in Montpellier, and they did the comparative anatomical and histochemical study of seed. So you can see some imaging. And also we got another, it is David Obada, but in another core facility. But for the moment, he doesn't come. Yes, because, sorry, I forgot something. This is the map that in the map, this is a different node of the core facility. And we are several core facility with different thematic and expertise. So it's for that, it's very interesting to apply in function of your specialty. So we like Imaging4All. So in the second call, now we just apply, but we don't know if we are selected. We are waiting. So so I reapply with the Professor Abidjan, and the one for the Togo, and one for Institut Pasteur with the Togo, and with Uganda. And there is also the core facility of France in the north of France. She applied with Togo. Okay, so now I'm pretty finished. So our submitting projects, so for Africa Francophone, So we submit a project to organize a residential bioimaging school in Africa in the Agency University of Francophonie. So we got pre-selected and we passed the auditions last week, and we are waiting for the decision. So I don't know, maybe today or tomorrow. So the goal is to offer, to organize 2 weeks of residential image school in UCAD, because they had the microscope, okay? And some of us, and there is an exchange in to have theoretical training and practical workshop. There is expertise in imaging acquisition, analysis, management. So we did a program for 15 days. And we apply because we want to promote open imaging platform for an international standard for Africa, and create a community researcher, engineer, technician inside Africa. So this is 30,000 euro, is to have open access and to have grants to host some students to do the call. Okay, so I finish. Okay. Okay, so this is my list. So it's just to show you that it's very necessary that building imaging capacity takes time. We need collaboration and not competition, okay? And the human connection is very important before the infrastructure. So thank you for your attention, and I would like to acknowledge France Bioimaging, Global Bioimaging for the Imaging4All, because it's very, very helpful to connect the African Bioimaging Consortium and the collaborators across Africa. Okay, sorry.
My question is actually for Samira. You talked about the France-Africa bioimaging community, but maybe can you tell us about how it started, this community, this France-Africa, who was the seed, and was it like a political decision to start this up and then you became part of this community? I just want to know how things, because things sound like they were established, and if you want to do something similar, maybe give us a little bit of idea how it was formed.
In France, there is, I think, there is different things, that there is a network of bioimaging that include all the core facility, and there is the infrastructure of France Bioimaging. At the beginning, I was just involved in the network of the France Bio of the France, and it's Jean Salamero started the first call. It was in 2023 about the joint initiative, because it was an initiative between Jean Salamero and Ami and Karen, I think, because Jean Salamero was involved in the GBI, so Global Bioimaging. So it's for that. But it was not, I think it's very difficult to find people that they want to, because it's voluntary. So Jean Salamero tried to do it, but now he's retired. So I proposed to do something very good, and we got the permission and the support of the direction when we did it, because it is just in December 2024, okay, of the direction of France Bioimaging. Because France Bioimaging has funding for 1 year, and so we have to prove them that this division is very necessary. So it's for that, for us, if we got this funding of the agency, we were pre-selected. This is just very good, and after, if we got it, I think it will be very good, because we can stay. We need funding.
I just want to tell you that Denise for Imaging4All is online if you have any questions for her as well.
Okay, thank you, Samira. Yeah, simple question. You generate a lot of data. So how do you combine the technical aspect and trying to put down your findings into journal articles? Because I think it's a little bit difficult. If that's you generate a lot of data in the lab, with the machines in the laboratories. Do you try to gather them into publications? Maybe you have collaborators, or you do the writing. You attempt writing.
You spoke about the data from
yes, data, the imaging data, confocal, images.
I think it depends of your biological question.
Okay, well, maybe because I'm talking from the university point of view,
And
we try to publish some of the findings.
Yeah, because I think microscopy is not sufficient to publish. You have to be relevant. You need other technique also. I don't know if it's your question.
Yeah. Like, because if you have a research idea, like I saw where you were imaging the otolith, the human otolith, am I correct? Shape of the otolith in the ear, in the middle ear, am I correct?
Okay, this result is not mine. This is the result of the collaboration of
Okay.
Kadidiou.
So what I'm asking now,
yes.
During the collaboration, do you try to encourage them to put it down into writing, publications?
Yes.
With your name as one of the facilitators, you contributed to the work. Do you try to encourage your name being in the publication?
Yeah, and and Kadi and Perrine Gilotto from France, they just do a preprint to show what they did.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question. There's a hand online, Georgina, if you want to unmute yourself.
Oh, thank you. It's a question mainly for Denise and Leon, but also the third speaker as well. It's Samira would be helpful to know. So we've had heard a lot about sharing resources, sharing microscopes, which is a good idea, and the fund is also pushing us that direction. But one I find barrier is getting to the end users to know that this exists. So I was just wondering from all the applications that I4A and the IIC have had, is there any kind of trends for what people are wanting to do when they want to travel to do some imaging? Because I think it would be helpful from a marketing point of view to know what is popular and then target those people in particular. And then a second question to that is, do you ask where people are finding out about these resources? Sorry, I didn't have my video on. So that we know where the best places are to advertise. I was just thinking ChatGPT, for example, could be useful for looking at those trends of the applications and knowing how to segment the market. Sorry, that's a very marketing question, but it's important.
Hi, Georgina. Thank you for the questions. This is Leon. I'll attempt that question. That is actually a very, very difficult challenge for any open access imaging center. In general, the awareness of microscopy is very, very uneven across the globe. North America and Europe are very well aware of what modern microscopy can do. But if you go to some of the more resource-restricted regions, then the awareness of what microscopy can do, especially the more modern microscopy can do, is still in its infancy. And so there is no single successful formula, because you always have to target, you always have to customize your message. And even what I have just done half an hour ago, is speaking to an audience, will not likely translate into a successful proposal or even a submission of a proposal. What translates usually into a submission of a proposal is when I have a chance to sit down one-on-one with the investigator and really listen to their research and basically brainstorm with them over lunch, over dinner, over a coffee for half an hour at least, if not an hour or two. And that is when it results into a proposal. Even in the United States or even in Europe, that kind of one-on-one interaction is extremely important. So I also realized that I have just described an extremely inefficient process, but it is what it is. And we actually wrote a paper on that basically talk about the dissemination of technology. There are usually two approaches and two dichotomous approaches. One is you send out tweets, you send out email, or you do a public speaking like this. This is what I would call a spray and pray. Hopefully somebody will pick up the message, but that is very efficient, but it is totally ineffective. A one-on-one interaction is usually effective, but extremely inefficient, and you have to do both. So I don't think there is another way around it, but because biologists needs to hear what microscopy can do directly for their work. And so that I hope that answered your question. I don't remember what your second question is.
Just if you ask people how they found out about the opportunity when they apply, and yeah, just trying to see if there's trends coming through that you can sort of capitalize on.
Yes, in every application, we do ask how they hear about the AIC, for example. Believe it or not, yes, they hear about it, and we also ask the questions, what gets you to apply? So the answer to those questions basically captures what I have just said.
Thank you.
Denise, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, sure. We also do ask our applicants how they heard about the call. And so far, we understand the pattern is that it is through the Global Bioimaging Network mostly. So our communication channels as Global Bioimaging and our partners' communication channels. So this comes up like as the first, in the first place. Social media is also quite effective. But then again, so we asked us as an open question, so I get responses like my supervisor. So then I cannot really tell where the actual source is. So I think we're going to work on this question for the next calls. But yeah, colleagues in the lab and so on. So these were also answers. But I have to say mainly so we also advertise on, let's say, focal plane, but I never got a response like that. For example, I saw the call on focal plane, which is actually quite, interesting. It seems like people also somehow need to have heard about it, like in a, not from one source maybe, but maybe from like different source, somehow get accustomed to the idea. And then maybe people, so that's kind of makes a motivation so to apply. I have the feeling, but we have to think about our dissemination methods. More closely. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a question from someone on Zoom. They said their question goes to Denise. How do you merge someone who wants to know how to use old models of some sets of microscopes with a facility that is using new models of microscopes during the Imaging4All application? What happens in this case?
I mean, I don't really know how to answer this, but we had one case from Africa for an electron microscope. This was an older model that they had, and this was a gift from, I think, so the Japanese government. And so this person really looked for a place that had a similar microscope, and actually even found the same. So it was like almost non-operational at this facility, this microscope, but we made the connection like that. But yeah. I don't know. It's a good question, and I probably depends on. So it's a case by case basis. We need to think about that. Yeah, I don't have one answer.
Okay, yeah. It's mainly a question for Denise and Samira, because Leon addressed that already. I think sometimes the lack of applying is also not knowing what's available there. Is there any strategy from France Bioimaging and from Global Bioimaging to inform the lower income countries, or Africa, then in the case of Africa, France, of what is available so that people have an idea? Okay, hold on. I can apply because I do know what's there. I think it's a little bit of a not knowing what, where, how can I, yeah, not how I can apply, but what's there.
After you address it, I would like to add to it. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Since she asked you first.
No, for the moment, we don't have plan. I think with Jean Salamero attend the GBI and want to connect with GBI, but we just do a meeting the last week with France Bioimaging, but I don't know what is the future of France Bioimaging because of the lack of funding also in the government. So we hope that it will be sustainable. Okay, so there is people that want to stop. There is people that don't want to stop. So you want to add something?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I think there is a very important point. Yes, everybody will, if you're interested in the program, you will always go on site to see what is available. Now, a lot of time, many imaging centers just list a whole list of instruments and you have no idea what they are to begin with if you're not attuned to microscopy on a daily basis. And I want to specifically stress, and I'm going to talk about that again tomorrow when we are doing practice writing, is there is a very huge cultural gulf between the global north and the global south of how they deal with applications. A lot of people from the global south are very, very reluctant and sometimes also intimidated to call the program officer, to call the imaging center, to call the program and just say, hey, I'm interested, but I need help. I have no idea what I'm doing. Most people in the global south don't want to do that. And I would strongly encourage you guys to email people because the way the global north handles this is very, very different. So let me give you my perspective because it is very important to see it from our perspective. Let's take a grant officer. I know NIH is completely in shambles right now, fine. But in the good old days, as in 9 months ago, 10 months ago, the way NIH or any funding agencies, Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, Gates or anything, they have program officers. Guess what those guys' job is? They are hired to give money away. That is their job. And if you want to do your job right in that position, you want to give money away in the best possible manner that has impact. I have no idea how they love to hear from you so they can pick the best candidate. And if you don't talk to them, you're preventing them from doing their job and you are killing your own opportunity to actually get funding. In a lot of regions, talking to a program officer is a no-no. It's like a death sentence. Oh, why are you talking to me? But not in the global north. Seriously. So if you're going to apply for, in Europe or in North America or in Australia or anywhere, pick up the phone, write an email. I can guarantee you people will respond. Even for like Advanced Imaging Center, we want the best project to come to Genelia. The only way we can help is to make sure your project is the best possible shape. I'm not guaranteeing success, but we help you to get to the possible shape before submission. And so it's very, very important to establish a connection, establish a conversation with a program immediately as early as possible. You hear Denise talk about that also. It's very frustrating for people who actually, thank you. Now I at least lost my train of thoughts. So I think it is very, very important that you talk to everyone because if every program, every imaging center, or every grant that is trying to help Africa, Latin America, or Southeast Asia, or India, or anywhere, if all the proposals or the applications that they get are not good because there is no connection. At the year end, when they submit the report to the actual funder who are making a decision, it's like, well, you get all really crappy application. We probably should kill this program. It is not good for anyone. And it kills it frustrates us to no end, and it just destroys your rate of success. So talk to us. I cannot stress that.
So that's a perfect segue to the question I want to pose, like I did in the previous session. We've got AIC, AMI, I4A, seeding labs, a lot of application-based stuff that you've heard today. As a community of researchers within ABIC, what is impeding us from taking full advantage of these opportunities? So I'm posing that question. I'd love to hear input from Denise and Leong, but I'm going to let that linger for a bit as we go for some more questions up.
I had a question for you, Mike, because I feel like when you talked, we brushed through your talk a little bit, and maybe it actually feeds into the question you just raised, because when you showed some statistics, and I hope I remember well, you said that most of the applications were related to identification and characterization, so pretty much preliminary. But then you also said that, well, which is true, you normally need preliminary data before you apply for a grant. So it's kind of like, what do you do in that case? So is it possible that we, in the whole process of motivating people to apply for grants, help them think of what kind of preliminary data is needed to strengthen their application? Sometimes it's really an experiment that is super interesting. It doesn't end up in the final publication, but it strengthens your application very much. So what do we need as a community is perhaps identify the key steps that make things achievable, including getting money through different things.
So that's a very, very good question. I'll answer the first thing that you said, that, sometimes the screening and identifying thing, that is the preliminary step. There is a confounding aspect to what I presented, was very superficial. A lot of those screening things was, we want to identify what this bacteria is. And sometimes microscopy is not the best tool for that. So how I presented it maybe was a little bit too simplistic, but you are correct that we need better ways of getting the preliminary data, and what does that look like? And what should that, if that's the goal, what does that need to look like? It'll kind of speak to what Leong said. During that first call, it was over 250 hours of project consultations ahead of that, and very inefficient, right? The best way to explain to somebody that doesn't understand themselves, which is the reality across the globe, is to help them understand. And I have to then understand their work. So it's a back and forth. It's a very slow process. And I'm sure that I know firsthand at the AIC, it's the similar thing. There is no silver bullet that's going to solve this problem. That's why we're taking, at least from my perspective, we're taking this approach that we need to hit every single avenue. We need workshops, we need training material, we need blog series online, we need information, we need networking opportunities, we need et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's not one thing that's going to solve this. But as long as we're heading in the right direction, we're always making that effort to improve and get better and to align with global partners and what the local needs are. That's what we need to focus on.
I have a question regarding the skills that would be needed for people to benefit from programs like this. And I'm asking this because not every researcher would have the bioimagery skills that would be necessary to come, for example, to your labs. And you said, like, don't send someone that wouldn't touch a microscope in their life. And for example, people working in biomedical research, but like on drugs and drug interactions, drug delivery systems, they are more into like chemistry departments, but they could be interested to benefit from the microscopy benefits and capacities at your institution. So in that case, they are faced with the fact that they don't have the capacity, technical capacity to do this. So what I'm asking, could there be possibilities not to have an application coming from just a single researcher, but more of like a matchmaking between researchers? For example, I'm working on a certain material, a drug delivery material, and I could partner with a bioimagery specialist from your institutions. I may not necessarily have to travel. I could send the material. I could like mail it, and my counterpart at the research center could use it and do the necessary bioimagery tests. In that case, I would still benefit from the program. I wouldn't have to be necessarily there, but my counterpart would be working with me using the equipment at your facility. I think that would open up the technical barrier a little bit and encourage interdisciplinary work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So let me clarify what I said. When you are writing for a proposal, it is more important that your project can benefit from any technology. And I'm not speaking on behalf of just the AIC, but global program like this. And again, I'd like to reiterate what I said earlier, it is more important that the program actually benefit the scientist more than anything else. So you're absolutely right that, again, the best thing is to talk to us so that we can guide you through the process. Collaboration is actually viewed very, very favorably across the globe. In fact, for Army Imaging Center, one of the sort of not a strict criteria, but a strong encouragement is we really would love to see African scientists collaborating not only with the global north, but even collaborating with each other, because the spirit of collaboration can be bolstered a little bit in Africa. So yes, it will be viewed very favorably. Depending on which imaging center you're talking about, and even within the imaging center, some instruments you don't have to show up. Like the EM, milling EM, it's pretty boring just to watch that instrument work without you doing anything for 3 weeks. You can just watch Netflix all week. That's not what you want to be. So that kind of sample you can just send to us. But for live cell imaging, it is important that the investigator is there, because you can make snap decision when something happened. Oh, I need to follow this. And so it is good to have involvement. Yes, we actually entertain a lot of proposal where not just Africa, anywhere, collaborating with US scientists, and sometimes they show up, sometimes only the collaborator in the United States showed up, and that is important. One other point that I want to expand, which you have not talked about, is you have seen the data that can be generated by modern microscopy. That takes a lot of computation, right? So a good collaboration that we're always looking for is not just biologists collaborating with biologists, but biologists collaborating with computing scientists. That makes a proposal extremely powerful. And they don't have to be from the same institution, right? And also, I think I can speak in general. All these programs are not looking at so that we care more about the scientific merit than the name. So yes, again, talk to us. That's the best way for us to guide you through. Even within this 5 minutes discussion, you already start to see why we're doing consultation all the time. 250 hours, as Mike would say. That is just in one day.
All right, I have to call the close to the session there. Thank you for everyone that's here in person for the whole day. Thank you to all of our speakers, both in person and online. Thank you for all of the attendees online.